Hi, everybody. Happy holidays. We hope you're having a good one. We hope you will have a good one, depending on which tense you're going to use. Welcome back to the Place of Wrath and Tears. From the end of last week, we got lucky. The Van Horsts dodged a bullet. Or if you're reading the back of the book, they may have dodged a C-named bullet. Finally, the Van Horsts have had enough of necromantic assassination attempts. Something like 2 or 3 is just too many. We've had enough. And so what they're going to do, at least in part, is strike back or maybe try to find some tools. We've got a lot of sensors, but we don't have a lot of tools. There we are. And so has time passed? When game ended last time, it was mumble oh dark 30 and an assassination attempt or maybe some terrible conjunction of the planes almost happened, because the problem with nuclear testing is that sometimes the testing fails. So megatons was merely tons. It was inadequate to whatever reality breaching task it was set. And here we are. So has time passed, or is it the next day? Where are we at now?
I feel like it's the next day. Like, we started on this, got 6 hours sleep maybe, and then...
Yeah.
Well, I have terrible news if that's the case.
I was like, is it?
I mean, the question would be whether or not we would have gone to, like, I feel like we probably had a situation where we would, I think that we first would have at least tried to figure out, like, what the fuck happened.
Yeah. Or like, figure out who or how, or like, we knew it was the same sort of death magic, but I don't know if we knew any clues about who it was or any of those things.
Not
barbiturates. We can stay up all night.
Okay, someone clip that one. I have barbiturates. We can stay up all night. That's on the t-shirt. So yeah, I mean, let's open the field. Do we want to go to sleep? Are we ever going to go to sleep again? Are we just like rolling into the Tropicana at 3 o'clock in the morning, like blitzed out of our skulls and screaming about necromancy?
Not the screaming about it part, no.
Okay, mumbling about necromancy. Sorry, I was off trope.
I feel like we probably would have, like, gone back to the Tropicana.
Bethany probably should have mentioned to her siblings that the pit boss marked her in some fashion, and she doesn't really know what that means.
Well, that's good to know. Yeah, so, like, I feel like there's a conversation that needs to occur when we get back home that's like,
Okay, so maybe we want to, like, roll into what we would call real time, 5 minutes away from the casino with Bethany dropping an actual devastating bomb.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that.
Okay. And then we'll see how the rest of the morning / night goes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So it is. I don't know if you guys have seen pictures of the Strip in the 50s. It is a bright fucking mess. This is the era. This is not the Times Square that the players and the viewer think of, where they imagine these vast expanses of LED screens. These are old-fashioned, electricity guzzling neon lights and the old thick light bulbs and that kind of thing. I imagine that if you were of a kind of person, if you were either mystically inclined or you were appropriately neurodivergent, the sound of all of these light bulbs humming over your head would probably be extremely uncomfortable. I'm now uncomfortable thinking about it, frankly. And it is bright, and if you are driving down the Strip, the artwork reaches in from each side. Imagine, if you will, the architecture of a beautiful walking path, either in Latrobe, in home, in the beautiful deep dark woods of Western Pennsylvania, or the palm trees on a beach where the big heavy fronds are reaching down, and that's kind of what all of the lights are doing. So it's a lot. Visually, it's a lot. Las Vegas does not sleep. There are people walking the streets less than at midnight, but not zero. And there are, let's see now, what's here? The Gold Nugget. I think Dunes is here. The Strip is here. It is alive and it is lit. So in this extremely calm and comfortable environment, Bethany, do you have anything to tell anyone?
Yeah. So before we get back to the hotel, I should probably mention, remember the fun little trick I played at Craps?
Yeah.
The pit boss might have noticed, definitely marked me. I don't know if as someone to watch or some like magical fashion.
What do you mean by marked?
Yeah.
It was a feeling. I don't know. Also, it's the same pit boss who was talking to the woman who I found dead outside the casino.
When we get back into the room, we should look you over
Yes.
just to make certain it wasn't mystical. I don't care if he thinks that we're cheaters and would like to kick us out. We can deal with that.
Yeah. It's the, he was talking to a woman and she seemed somehow mystically dead, and then I was like, oh, she's going to be dead outside the casino at this time, and then she was, and it was that man, so I'm gently concerned.
That's one way to put it.
Yeah.
Gently concerned.
But that's not the necromancy. That's something else.
That's true.
Let's get back up to the room. We'll look you over, and if there's any way we can start tracing where this could be, we start looking. I don't know.
We need to. We'll get back in. We'll start trying to find leads. We'll see if it's compounded.
Yeah.
Thank you for telling us, Bethany.
Of course. Other things happened. It slipped my mind.
David, and Bethany, it's your choice, but I don't think that you should go anywhere alone. At all.
I'm not too usually.
Yes, but let's just make this a rule right now so we know how you were marked. We make certain that somebody is with you at all points in time.
Okay.
Okay.
Sure.
Yes, David, your driver, Jobs body, and nascent saint of war nods, clarifies a few things, like how tight should this be? Do you want me to be next to her? Should I, Bethany, how do you want to handle this? Is he, exactly one step to your left and two steps behind at all times? Or is this just kind of a hang around sort of a bodyguard expectation?
Currently line of sight. I don't want to become more noticeable than I currently am.
Okay.
Better when I don't draw attention to myself.
Okay. David seems to be, unperturbed. Unbothered by it, so he takes it as methodically and calmly as he seems to have taken everything else, up to and including the still beating severed heart. So,
well, at least one of us is compartmentalizing well.
yes. His memory palace is extremely well labeled. And is composed of the same grid as the war camp of a Roman legion, for better or for worse.
That's healthy.
It's fine. Everything is fine. Yeah.
Matthew's goal is to get us to the room.
Okay. there's really not much to stop you right now. I mean, aside from just the audio-visual assault that is a casino. So it's Clara. Are you high?
No.
You managed to refresh your supply.
Did want to get up to the? I'm chain smoking about it right now. She's just been chain smoking in the back of the car and all the way to the casino. It doesn't matter. It's 1957. But she would like to get back to the room and use while other people do smarter things.
Okay, and do some real drugs about it.
Yes.
Okay.
Especially if we're going to be up this long tonight. Heroin seems like a good idea.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
I mean, once you started justifying heroin, you know, it really does kind of become an all the time, every time idea.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But no, right now she is not. And she's kind of cranky about it.
Okay. So the room is generally unmolested. It feels empty, like in the normal, no one is in the room sort of way, as opposed to the howling endless wastes of the desert that's just waiting outside sort of way. It's a distinct but important difference. You know, there are layers of empty. This is the comfortable empty.
That's good.
Good.
Mm-hmm.
At least something's comfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess the first thing that Matthew's going to do is just kind of look over Bethany as best he can, metaphysically. Because she's been marked, and that is like his number one, like, right, like he's like, yeah, like someone is trying to kill all of us. Also, someone is trying to kill one of us in particular, probably. This is an overlapping problem. Let's keep it to one person trying to kill us all, and not two different sources of trying to kill us all.
Okay, yeah, that's fair. So you want to check Bethany for debuffs?
Basically, like I'm looking at magical intuition, and there's something that basically states, learn if something has a magical nature, which I'm not sure if that's actually helpful. I'm not sure if magical intuition can tell me anything about Bethany. It might actually be Clara who's able to do it better with her, because you've got the other.
I have enhanced awareness. I don't know. I'll certainly try.
No, because that's more of a location.
Yeah.
Ben, is there anything that magical intuition could try to tell me about what's going on here?
Probably.
Like, yeah, like I don't know whether or not it's something that like I would look at it and I'd just be like, I don't know.
Okay. Well, I've been listening to you and making sure that I'm looking at the rule.
Yeah.
Because there's a bunch of really cool sensory powers, and they all work a very specific way.
They do.
Mm-hmm.
So magical intuition is a creature's true nature, learn if something has a magical nature, or learn where the illusion is weakest. What's the other power we're considering?
I was also looking at like Clara's enhanced awareness. But I don't know if that would be effective, because that's more about locations.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Sixth Sense. Don't you both have Sixth Sense?
Just
okay.
You could look at yourself with Sixth Sense.
Well, I have to roll for it anyway, which I'm supposed to roll at the beginning of this session.
Yes.
Did not, so.
That's okay. Well, typically we kind of we
get there.
Yeah, we end up there.
Yeah.
So as Bethany kind of fires up the crazy eye.
Mm. Okay. I got a 14, right? Because I rolled a 10, and her soul is +4.
Okay.
So 2.
Yes.
I guess it would be in the realm of clue or lead.
Yeah.
Right.
The boss wishes me ill. Like, that's not a thing I'm questioning. He does not like me.
If she has up to 3 options, is she able to use the same option twice?
Yeah, that is a question.
That's a really good question. Choose up to 2 options usable at any time.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see why picking something twice
Okay.
shouldn't happen, because it's you definitely put these moves in your back pocket.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so if you can use them across the session, you may want to know if someone wishes good or ill twice, or discover a clue twice. So I think that, yeah.
I would, yes, love to discover a clue towards the if the way that the pit boss marked Bethany was metaphysical, and she is in sort of the same sort of weird debt danger that she thinks has something to do with like the dead busboy and the woman out back and things. And also, she would like a clue about necromancers.
Okay, so you
That's
want
like-
you want two clue results.
Yes,
One-
currently the marked one because we're there, but my plan from before we started this session was to use that clue result for the necromancy issue.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. So let's handle the immediate worry. Is the weird, handsome but far too gimlet gazed pit boss a supernatural threat? Not yet. To kind of work within the gambling metaphor that feels appropriate, you have yet to finish playing the hand.
Okay.
You could fold and walk away
Okay.
and be fine, but if you continue to bet,
Mm.
the lethal probabilities could still manifest around you.
Okay.
So in short, if you attempt to use telekinesis or any other probability manipulating things,
Mm-hmm.
there is a sense of something. A quantum mathematician would probably have a lot of words to say about collapsing probabilities and all of that other stuff, but there is a thing that could form and be deadly around you, an intent, something, but it is not there yet. So right now, are you in danger? No. Could you place yourself into or out of danger based off your choices? Yes. But
Okay.
now the rules and the stakes of the game are in hand.
Yeah. Okay. I started
And-
playing a game I didn't know I was playing, but I'm playing it now. That's okay.
Yes. And how you respond to that is up to you.
Great.
However, based off of the way these maybes kind of swirl around you a little bit, kind of, it feels a little thorny, a
Mhm.
little predatory, that the issue is fucking with the gambling.
Mhm. Yes.
It's not a legal issue. It's not a money issue.
Yeah.
It's manipulating the game.
Ah. Interesting.
It definitely revolves around, maybe it's the game, maybe it's probability,
Mm-hmm.
but it almost seems like the thing that got his attention upon you, Bethany, was messing with maybe.
Okay.
Maybe is a sacred term for whatever the pit boss is, be he merely a cultist, or maybe even maybe he's a probability wizard.
Mhm.
You know, maybe he's just a guy with an uncomfortable amount of grip on things.
Okay. Okay.
Well, that's good.
Right.
in-
It's a
in
later
some
problem.
ways.
Yeah.
That's a tomorrow problem.
It's 3 days from now. I can just not do that for
Yeah.
a while, at least, unless we need
Yeah.
it. But
Yeah.
I could just not until we know more.
Now, conversely, having a functionally, like, morally absent person who only gets offended when his own particular set of rules are broken, if you can tilt that claymore towards someone else, that'd be a pretty satisfying explosion.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
do like that. I do like that quite a bit.
If
Yeah.
we can make our necromancers fuck with his chance magic,
Yeah, it would.
he might fix it for us.
In as much as there's no such thing as a true fae, in KULT that the way we understand mythology doesn't interact quite the same with this world. But treating the pit boss like an extremely dangerous true fae with an obsession with gambling might be a good way for you, the player, to consider the way you've received this information through your sixth sense.
Yes.
And that there's no morals at play, merely an obsession with a particular thing being just so trademark.
Yes.
I feel like if there's one thing that us, like Van Horsts, who have been raised in this sort of idea of the new aristocracy of like rich people thing, know what to do. It's to get other people to do our dirty work for us.
Yeah.
It's like, I see what we do there.
Yeah, I mean, let's be honest. Your daddy's dirty work.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And here we are.
We are.
That went well for him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We'll fix it eventually.
Is going well. You left him in hell.
We did. With every intent to retrieve him at some point.
We absolutely have an intent to retrieve him.
It's true. We
know
do.
where we left him.
It's like you're like, I know where I parked my dad. It was the hell. I'm gonna get it later. I got my keys.
They don't put grid coordinates on purgatories. Like, this is harder than that. Everyone turn around and take a picture of where you left your dad.
Beep the keys a few times and they'll scream out in agony. It's fine.
God. Okay.
Well, that's where we're at.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So do you want to do anything else, or do you want to immediately seek out clues related to the necromancy and the attacks and everything?
Necromancy? Is there anything else? Clara, do you do things?
Yeah, Claire's just shooting up in the corner. Fine. Yeah.
Cool.
Until you all say that you need her, that's what she's going to do. Though she does as she's using look up and go, if he's trying to kill you actively, I can have a conversation with him and make certain he stops. I can be incredibly intimidating when I want to be, or convincing. It depends on how he reacts.
He just doesn't like it when you alter chance. His chance that he has going.
All right.
So
Well,
I can not for a bit.
Then I don't have to have a talk with him.
Yeah. Not yet.
If he can tell when someone alters chance, that might be something that would want convincing later. And he will look at Clara.
Yeah.
Yes, he might actually be useful to have on our side. I can work on befriending him, and if I have to have stern words with him later, then that's fine. I know his name. I know what he looks like, at least.
Of the three of us, you're the one who's most likely to win at gambling without any extra effort.
Yes.
I will see if I can make friends with him. But if he's not actively trying to hurt you at this moment, something is actively hurting us. We should look into that first.
And we only have so much time to deal with
Yes.
Yes. I'm sort of, I guess, in the middle of a hand with him, is the way I'd put it, and I don't have to keep playing right now.
We'll put that hand to the side for now.
It's still there. The thing that he did is not gone. It's just not going to actively harm me unless I continue doing what I was doing.
Okay.
Yeah, it's mostly a sensation right now of being watched.
Yeah.
It's not like you.
Love that.
It's not like you've been marked, but certainly there is a heightened level of observation.
Sure hate that feeling.
Oh yeah,
Hate it a lot.
Not comfortable, but
Mm-mm.
not immediately threatening.
No.
No
Hate
crops
that
for a
feeling.
bit.
I think I'll just be avoiding that that for a while.
If we don't get solid leads from brainstorming tonight, the doctors from the other hospital, the prophets, I'm still supposed to speak with them at some point. Making an alliance there, they might know, or at least know more who could be doing this. I can go try to have that lunch or dinner that we were finally supposed to have. I would rather not. They weren't all that comfortable, and but they are the people in the area who we know have access to magic and knowledge.
Let's try and see what we can do ourselves first, definitely. But that's, as much as I don't like the idea of using it, certainly something to keep in our back pocket.
It's probably not an accident that a city that formed itself out of gambling is apparently proving quite magnetic to maybe mancers.
Mm-hmm.
Matthew is like, don't like that. Don't like that. Don't like this uncertainty.
Now let me ask you a question, Matthew. Do you not like it? Or do you not like having one in your back pocket? Are you against the idea, or are you against its free roaming state?
I would probably say that he doesn't like the idea of people who are like wanting to control probability and chance that in a way that means that he can't control it. So, like, if he had one that was, like, in his back pocket, it's more like, oh, okay, that feels nice. Because now I can control probability and chance. But his issue is that, like, the people who see it as inviolate, right? Like, the idea of, like, you know, which I probably mispronounced, but whatever. But, like, that's the sort of idea of, like, you know, having this free chance is important. Clashes a bit with his desire to control everything. So if he can control the free chance, that's fine. But that just becomes a little difficult.
Yeah. So, like, if you could get a hold of one of these causality manipulating factors, would you use it to level the playing field, or would you use it to control the playing field? Would setting things to the natural laws of fate be satisfactory to Matthew?
I'm sorry, did you ask whether or not Matthew would prefer things to be at an even playing field, or if he'd want to control things to his advantage?
It's not about me knowing or not knowing the answer. It's about hearing Matthew say it out loud.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like his issue isn't, I don't like that there's like chanceomancy. His issue is, I don't like that there is another player on the field that will push away my control.
Okay.
Matthew's
over here like whittling dice into a knife.
I just like it's the sort of thing where it's like, you know, anyone who's like, oh yeah, like I love the free market. No, you don't. You like having the control that you already have of the free market, because it's not actually something that doesn't actually get influenced.
Yeah.
Like, this isn't an even playing field.
Yeah.
That's my socialism. Anyway,
that's my ghost drink. Isn't that fun?
Oh my god.
Mess with people with a green screen.
Yeah.
But yeah, so he will I think that his thing is that he'll kind of like take that in and be like, okay. Bethany, are you able to try to look in regarding the people who've been targeting us then?
I will see what I can do. I would like to use that second hold.
Yeah, totally. So here's my question. How do you feel Bethany does the whole sixth sense thing? Like, what's your vibe?
I think that she sort of lets her tightly held grip on this reality relax.
Okay.
Potentially, and lean into seeing the things that aren't really there, and seeing, like, talking about the pit boss and his chance things, and like the sort of physical sensations of being watched and thorny, and trying to like nebulize through what that meant. So it's more of a like thinking about the feelings that were happening, or the physical sensations, or the metaphysical sensations, I guess, that were happening during the 2 times that someone tried to kill us with atomic fueled necromancy, to get a beyond this illusion sense of who or what, something that she at least would recognize again tangibly.
Okay. I'm getting a little bit of like a Sherlock Holmes movie vibe.
Yeah.
Where you take in a bunch of information, and the thing that you're doing is letting your mind process it differently. And it's not like an astral journey. It's about kind of making everything weird.
Yeah.
Internally.
Yes.
And kind of like, congratulations, you have made Bethany a difference engine of madness.
Yeah, that.
Yeah, which is our like alt rock cover band is the difference engine of madness.
Yeah.
So Bethany works with a couple of pieces of memory. If we're going to be kind of going through, Bethany doesn't have a memory palace.
She doesn't. What she does have is a commonplace book that is one of the fake books she got from Dad's study. There was a blank book, and that she'd been using to transcribe things that were important to her within it. And so it acts as like a vaguely physical one where she like writes down things, but they might not make tons of sense. Or when she was trying to figure out what his way of doing magic was, she would copy out the things that felt important to her, not necessarily the things that were important. So she still has that book with her.
Okay.
And she might post whatever this is, write more things in it, or flip through and find things in it, but she doesn't have her own memory palace about the things per se.
The things that you know that you don't want to think about because it makes you think about the home that you were trapped in for most of Bethany's life is the idea of places of power.
Yeah.
It's kind of, we half sarcastically point out that Matthew is not in his citadel right now, but it was a terrible day when you manipulated the visual illusion that was that lock to that room in the basement next to the boiler and walked into what could only be considered your father's magic working space, ritual space, his small temple to one of the keepers of this cage, this lie that we call Elysium. This creature that he had bound his entire life into the service of. And thinking about the place where everything came to a head and you and your brother annihilated a few dozen lives with the holes you tore in reality. And the place that you went and the terrible creature that you saw there, where location is important. These are not things that you just do on your average street corner. You don't walk into the all-night NITE deli and just whistle up some necromancy. I mean, I guess depending on what they're using in the bacon, but typically you wouldn't go into an all-night diner and whistle up necromancy. And so one of the things that is that the place has to be a place that's been prepared. You remember the work that was put into it, the markings on the floor, the twisting, layered, nigh fractal geometry. And so what is that you don't just need a place that's death. You need a place that's been steeped in it, that has been marinated in it, that not just death, but the culture of death, where death rituals have been happened. Because this isn't just whistling up a zombie. This is reaching into another place, a place of death and of endings and of oblivion, and trying to draw them closer. And so what you need a place where death and the rituals of death have gone on time and time and time again. So it's not their core place is not going to be a shack. It's going to be somewhere where many rituals have occurred. And I don't just mean magical rituals. I mean funerals and mourning ceremonies and all of the different things that people do to negotiate the bridge between life and death. And some of them are bright and some of them are dark and some of them are looking back and some of them are looking forward. But what you need is a place where that bridge has been built, because whoever is attacking you is standing on that bridge. Inappropriate pun, 1 foot in the grave, and using that connection and turning it into utility. The other thing is that if this person or persons unknown could do this level of work without being shackled to a largely uncontrollable energetic event, that they would do so. So there is a moderate to significant chance that what this person is a individually weak / unskilled person who is using the nuclear bombs, the devastation, the promise of annihilation in them as a thaumaturgical crutch to accomplish more than they would be naturally capable of accomplishing. So on the bright side, there is not some sort of necromantic Saruman, somewhere up in his tower, packed to the gills with power, but, probably closer to Wormtongue, a chump with too much knowledge and a sugar daddy. But so you are fairly certain that, maybe it's chancy, it's cocky, it's stupid, but it's fantastic. Maybe you could, it's dowsing when it's the stick. Is it still dowsing when it's the item on the string?
With the pendulum?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe if you had something that was dead enough, you could make a little pendulum maybe. And you don't know if you could find the person, but maybe, just maybe, if you roll good enough, it would give you an extension on your ability to see places where the illusion is thin, that would extend that sensory apparatus beyond your current location and kind of do a little bit of sympathetic magic. You know just enough to be dangerous. You are a teenager that knows where the gas pedal is, but not where the brakes are. So you know you can turn the vehicle on. You can verily put it into drive, but you may not be able to turn.
Yeah.
Or you could do mundane research.
Bethany will offer both of those options to her siblings. That it's maybe a church or some mass grave site, or it wouldn't just be like a battlefield, because it's about like maybe a cemetery. It's death, but it's how not just destruction, it's how the living deal with the dead that gives whoever it is the connection to try and call them back. And I can try to find it, not the person or the people. They can't get to us before the next atomic bomb, because they're not powerful enough. But I can try to sense at it, so we can do one or the other or both if we want to try to come up with a few options to try, and I can try to see if I can focus to sense at them, or I can just see if I can get us in a spot and we'll see what's there. What do you think?
Clara, high as a kite, sitting lounging in her corner chair, just kind of death. It is always death, isn't it? Tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow creeps in this petty pace from day to day until the last syllable of recorded time. And all our yesterdays have lighted fools the way to dusty death. And she just continues spouting the monologue, the tomorrow and tomorrow monologue, and then she goes into Hamlet, to be or not to be. And then she goes into Richard III, and she just, in this haze of, I'm an actress, I've had all of these memorized because so much of the theater is about death, and those are the things that you do for auditions, and that's what you get yourself lost on, and I'm high enough to not be worried about it. I'm gonna roll for forbidden inspiration and try to get some sort of vision off of this soliloquy moment she's having in the corner.
I dig the fuck out of it. Like, as soon, like, yeah.
Cool.
I could take the next 5 minutes to explain exactly all the different ways I dig the fuck out of it, but I just dig the fuck out of it.
Awesome. I could have done the whole piece, but I don't want to bore everybody. Oh, okay, that's a 7. I don't know. Oh, please tell me I just made it. Oh, I don't think I did. Ah! That was so cool, and I'm so mad. Because I believe it is soul for forbidden inspiration. Yeah. Oh, I'm so mad. Well, a 9 or less is gaze too deeply, you get terrible vision. GM makes a move. But yeah, I rolled a 9.
Okie dokie. Okay, let me read this.
Or I rolled a 7 and I have a 9. Unless, and you can tell me this is bullshit, I have yet to spend my growth. Soul was one of the things that, there's a cat.
Hello, cat.
Soul was one of the things I was considering spending growth on. I know that it's kind of shitty to do that at like the last minute during a roll.
Yeah, I mean,
Okay,
we're
fine.
pretty flexible, but I don't think we're gonna.
That's fine. Terrible vision it is. She's high as a kite, spouting Shakespeare in the corner of a hotel room at the Tropicana at like 4 a.m.
Yeah,
Yeah, Ziggy, you gotta settle.
Love you, honey bunny. You need to chill.
You're in my light.
You should let him come up here.
But yeah, you get a image of a giant cat blocking you from your
My stage light, my spotlight. It's the death monologue.
Yeah, and so for the plebeian that runs this game, exactly what was that monologue? Because I recognized it, but I can't place it.
Oh, it's from Macbeth. It is shouldn't be saying that anyway. It's the monologue he says when he learns Lady Macbeth has killed herself.
Okay.
And there's not enough time for mourning, and we are just marching through to death pointlessly every single day of our lives, and all our yesterdays have lighted fools the way to dusty death. Out, brief candle. Life is but a walking shadow. It is
Okay.
that piece.
It's one of those things where I'm just like, I know it's Shakespeare, but you like finding the right peg on the switchboard. Okay.
Yeah.
So, death, eternal death. How polite. How perfect. How on. Clara, your sister, your dear sister Bethany, is haunted. And what I don't mean is, I don't mean that she carries traumas from her past. I don't mean that the things that she's seen, the things that she's done, keep her awake at night. I mean that she is fucking haunted. I mean that there are spirits that are attached to her that crave her presence, that yearn for her. Somehow, in this moment, you perceive Bethany as one of the 100-handed deities from maybe India, where they are almost a multiplicity of themselves, where there are many Bethanies, and most of them are dead, and Bethany is haunted by the ghosts of the Bethanies that were. And there is a link to the place that this death place in Bethany, where it is almost as if you imagine the classic, the image. I mean, and so, you know, if a stage play comes to mind for this, the classic hold the newborn infant up pose, you know, the promised infant, the prophesied child, for weal or woe. It is that moment, but from not a mother's legs is Bethany drawn, but she is drawn from the offal and blood and guts that have been poured and overflowing into an open grave, into a sarcophagus that has been hacked crudely open, levered up, and there are organs and viscera and thick, ropey, spongy tubes of not quite intestine. And Bethany is pulled from these depths, and she is pulled in her caul, in the whole, in the wrapping, and it is pierced, and she is peeled out of it like a ripe fruit. And as Bethany ejects fluid from her lungs and comes to life and starts to scream and do all of those normal baby things, you hear her screaming in your ear, just a baby noise, a perfectly normal, healthy baby noise. But the thing that you are looking at, and the thing that will probably never stop being looked at by you in some sense, is the dozens of matching fleshy bulbs, these Bethany seeds that almost seemed to retract down into the bottomless viscera of this grave where many of your dear sister were raised. Now you can buy your soul up one.
That I thought,
Clara?
I saw some things, and I think there's some connection to this place of death, or to death in general, in you, Bethany. There's something in a part of you, or one section of you, I don't know, but you have a connection to this.
Okay.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm still not good at these things. I wish I had a more clear something I could see.
It's all right.
But if one or both of you can trace, I think we can use Bethany or whatever is in her as the guide. That's a pinpoint. That's something that we can follow back, at least.
Matthew is going to place his forehead against Bethany's and close his eyes. And I'm going to try to see where the illusion is weakest using magical intuition, specifically in Bethany, to try to find this connection.
Ooh. Okay. Bethany, do you consent to the touch?
Yes.
Just making sure.
Yes.
Emotions are high. Are all the players okay? Okay.
Yes.
So that is a 14. Oh, nope, a 13, but same thing. Because of my wounds. And that gives me 2 options. One may be saved until later in the scene. So I have something about a creature's true nature, whether it has a magical nature, or learn where the illusion is weakest towards other dimensions. I'm going to go with learn where the illusion is weakest towards other dimensions, and I may use something about the true nature of the creature if I see something. So we'll see.
The first instinct that comes to mind is a low, down in the abdomen pelvic region. And for a moment of probably significant sibling discomfort, you worry that this is something reproductive. And it is and it isn't, because what actually speaks to mind to begin with is her belly button.
Okay.
And then subsequently probably her blood.
Yeah.
But it is the idea that horrifically Bethany is connected to whatever the death stuff is through the circumstances of her birth.
Yeah. Especially because, and I'm mainly saying this because I know that this is a season 1 thing. We all kind of learned that Bethany might have been less born than summoned, kind of.
Gestated in non-standard conditions.
Yeah,
I think is summoning.
Yeah, it's gestated in a very non-standard condition. For the first time, and like this makes Matthew extremely uncomfortable. Matthew is going to try to understand something about a creature's true nature on Bethany. Because that's probably not all like everybody else.
Bethany, do you mind if I pilot you a little bit?
Go ahead.
You feel your hands dig in to Matthew's chest, not dig in, not enter, but like the kind of like the clutch,
Mm-hmm.
not dig in, clutch at Matthew's chest, and it's uncomfortable, but it doesn't tear open any of the second set of stitches you received for your terrible wounds at the hands of the necromantic monster. You're welcome. Little things. And the words that come out of your mouth are unfamiliar to you and familiar to Matthew in that they are, you have to make two in case the first one doesn't rise.
I don't like that.
You're not supposed to. Bethany is a person. She is probably a human. She is, however, in some way sequential. There is something, we went back to it and talked about it a couple of games ago about the great and terrible foundries that are in Pittsburgh. And instead of the raw force of it, you are reminded of one of the production spots where metal is placed in and bang, and it comes out, and then bang again, where copy upon copy, same after same, under these incredible inhuman, almost arguably unearthly conditions. There is something sequential about Bethany. She is of a series. It is not that she is not human. It is not that she is a creature. It's that she's not a one-shot.
I think that Matthew is quiet for a moment.
Well, what's Matthew's face when Bethany whispers these words that are unfamiliar to her and familiar to you? What's the face journey?
I think that it's a situation of have you ever seen the expression of someone who's told something that they guessed but they didn't want to know it for sure?
Mm-hmm.
That.
Okay.
Like
an unwelcome confirmation.
Yeah. The sort of sense of like, oh, I wanted to be proven wrong.
Sorry, brah.
Yeah. It's almost like a look of resignation. And he will say, I think there are others like you.
I know. You've seen one. She handed me things.
More than there are others of us.
Do you think they're real?
I think so now.
Do you think it's another me that's trying to kill us?
I think it might be possible. Or someone is using another you to connect to us. It might not be them, but it might be that they're being used.
Either of those things feel very, very possible. But let's get this out of the way. It's not another you. You are our sister. You are Bethany. We've been born, bred, raised, well, not born, bred and raised together. We love you very much. And you're ours. Just because there's other things that maybe look like you or were made in the same fashion, they're not you.
Are they? Are they not? I mean,
they're not our
Definitely.
sibling.
You're more than what made you.
but are
We wouldn't be siblings if that's all that we were.
Are they real? Are they people?
I don't know what they are.
They're not Bethany Van Horst. And if one is trying to kill us, then we will handle it. We've handled copies of ourselves before.
Yeah.
Matthew will smooth back Bethany's hair. And it's very different than when he does that with Clara. Like, with Clara, it's very much a lover's touch. This is very much like, you know, we siblings in like a non-weird way. And he will look her in the eyes and say, I only have one sister who is Bethany. Anyone else who is made from that mold isn't mine.
What are we going to do about them?
We need to find them.
What are we going to do when we find them, the other me's?
It'll depend on if they're willing participants in this visit. What do you want us to do?
I don't like there being other me's. I know one was very helpful, but I thought she wasn't real at the time, and now she might be, and I don't like it.
Well, that makes things easier. I don't like that they're being used to target us. We will be there for you. The others don't have us. And he looks at Clara beside them. We need to... You said a church or a graveyard?
Something concerned with the ritual of death will be the place of power of these people. And it'll feel special, like the club or Papa's study, or it's you know, power.
I know what we can do. We can go to the concierge. We can say that we've recently lost our father, and once a month or once a year, probably once a month, we go to a place of death to mourn him and remember him, and we can't be at home. So where do they recommend, which is the most hallowed or honored or often used around the city?
It's a good idea. We should also try to sleep first.
Probably
Okay.
a few hours.
Just a couple.
Yeah. Sleep. We'll get up at 9. I will go talk to a concierge sweetly. And tomorrow we'll go around to a few places. Even if we get a list of 3 or 4, I suspect once we are on site, we'll be able to, I don't want to say taste it, but feel it fairly quickly.
Yeah, you're probably right.
So we have a plan at least.
We do.
And if we don't find anything, I guess I can try to use my connection to other knees and death and thing to pinpoint us a better place. But I'd rather try your way first.
No matter what way we use, even if the first way doesn't work, we're going to be with you every step of the way.
Okay.
And they don't have us.
Figure it out. But sleep.
Mm.
I'd really like to sleep while this shit is still dancing around my head and I actually feel relaxed. We should all sleep.
Yes, the heroin addict recommends sleep. And she's probably not terribly involved in that decision-making process. Do either of the two of you think that you'll be able to sleep at this point?
Mm.
Gonna try.
Yeah.
Okay.
Bethany might do a try, but feeling really doubtful about that ability.
Okay.
I think that Matthew's gonna at least attempt because he's fucking exhausted. He'll probably like drink some alcohol and be like, that's a good way of dealing with this.
Yeah, a dawn cap, so to speak.
Yeah. It's fine. I'll just put some in my coffee and I'll be okay.
Yeah.
Healthy living in the 50s.
Yeah. The classic upper downer combo. Bethany.
Yes.
Do you just lay in bed in your clothes? Do you go through an entire like bedtime ritual?
Yeah, I think she has a bedtime ritual. I don't think that sleep has been easy for her necessarily for a lot of her life. So I think that she has a thing that is, this is the thing I do at sleep time. And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't, but it is the trying to con yourself into making your brain shut off.
Okay. So, we all get a few hours sleep. It's about 20 after 9, and as standard, we usually break somewhere around 9:30. So once I mess up Bethany's day one more time, we're going to take our little 5-minute break and stretch our legs. As you go to bed, Bethany, as different experiences and memories roll around through your head, you are reminded of the vision or the sense, the shared sense memory of a version of you being held by the woman in red.
Mm-hmm.
Your absent craved for connection.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe now the sudden realization that that was not just a nasty little daydream, but that there may be a Bethany out there right now that's being held instead of you.
Mm-hmm.
And that's probably the last conscious thought you have as your dramatically overworked mind either falls asleep or simply shuts down in fugue. Either way, consciousness fades from you. And we are going to fade from the stream for a couple of minutes, and we are going to have our bio break, and we recommend that all of you do so as well. And when we get back, we're going to get into some good old nasty grindhouse necromancy horror fucking shenanigans. So bring your seatbelts back with you. All right. Thank you very much. All right. As we return, so does the sun. And it is now arguably, actually, really, maybe, possibly the morning of June 2nd, 1957. The Van Horsts have... I'm not going to commit to woke up. I think we'll say they've all collectively returned to consciousness.
Well, that was actually something I was going to ask. Do I need to roll?
Yes. Let's roll for our nightmares, let's roll for our addiction, and let's roll for our schizophrenia as we now have a bright and shining new day.
So I rolled a 14, so with my -1, that's a 13.
Okay, it's not a 9.
Not a 9! I know, I'm very excited for myself. So that means that I am not happy, but I'm not trapped.
Yeah.
So that means, let me just look at the specifics. You may make a move for my nightmares.
Yes. Matthew, I'm going to say actually that you gain a bit of insight into the truth.
Oh, nice.
It is unpleasantly easy to create life.
I see you right there, Clara.
Very hard.
Clara's on cloud 9 as she realized it's unpleasantly easy to create life. Matthew, the real world, the truth, the terrible, ugly, nasty place that seems to be just pressed up against the glass of your cage is a collection of places that in many different ways demand that they animate. Everywhere there are things. In Metropolis, there are things. In hell, there are things. Reality is infectious, invasive, alive, and just over there. And as easily as it is possibly to annihilate, the response is that of ground after a forest fire. Every death inspires new life. But this isn't a recovery, cool, feel-good sort of way. This is a threat.
Well, that's distressing.
It should be distressing.
A little bit. So he wakes up uneasy.
Yeah.
I think that he probably, he fumbles around, he gets his glasses. He looks at Clara as she's waking up and probably thinks a lot about some certain conversations that they've had.
Yeah.
Clara, totally unaware of that, picks her head up and listens for the other room. And if it doesn't sound like Bethany is waking up, probably like rolls over and it's like, morning quickie. Doesn't say it that way. She kind of is like, I miss you and it's going to be a very long day. I don't think Bethany's awake yet.
I think that he takes his glasses back off and is like, I know how to distract myself from very uncomfortable thoughts about the exact thing that I'm doing. Doing it. That's how to not think about this. And so he definitely, but he's like very, very carefully makes sure that protection is there. Just gonna think about that.
Okay.
I know that, like,
So you find a pair of those Naked Gun movie full body condoms?
oh yeah,
Okay.
clearly.
Yes.
But no, that's the question that I have. Like, because I don't know, like, I myself don't know, what did they have in the 1950s?
There were condoms, like rubber
there?
condoms, as we know. Some people still used like lambskins because they were reusable.
Yeah.
These things weren't all that easy to access.
Yeah, that's
and
sort of my
were
question.
generally
What
frowned
probably
upon. Clara, like, doesn't want to.
Yeah.
Like, she has with other people, but not with Matthew. So if he's reaching for, she's very confused.
Yeah, I'm, because of the, like, I myself, on like an out of character level, understand that the pull-out method is not a very accurate method to
No.
Okay.
but I'm pretty sure that Matthew doesn't know that. So that is probably what they've been doing. Quite
Well,
frankly.
Because I was completely unprepared for this question.
I
While you
also don't know why I
while you two were discussing the emotional mechanics of this, I'm on Wikipedia.
Yeah.
There's a couple of pieces of data. According to Wikipedia, from 1955 to 1965, 42% of Americans of reproductive age relied on condoms for birth control.
Oh, that's a lot higher than I thought. Okay.
Yeah, well, apparently what had happened is that there was a rash of STDs
The war.
in the war.
Yeah.
And so condoms kind of went everywhere that United States soldiers went. And so it apparently, just reading quickly, clearly not the full history of prophylactics, reading quickly, apparently that did a lot to reduce the stigma of condoms. I have a feeling that a single woman without a wedding ring on walking into a pharmacist shop trying to buy a pack of condoms would probably experience significant social challenges, but I can't imagine that thank you, chauvinism, that a guy would have any difficulty almost under any circumstances.
The issue that comes up with this is, like, I feel like Matthew's classism and his common sense would be at odds with each other when it comes to use of prophylactics. Because, like, there's an idea of, like, one, like, Matthew doesn't sleep with other people than Clara. So, like, he's like, so, like, I think that there's a certain level, and I say this in an, like, out of character, this is a very toxic viewpoint, and I just want to say that really quickly before I talk about it, but the idea of, like, especially of STDs and stuff where, like, the main reason that people were using prophylactics, or why they were more spread, because of the fact, again, that, like, there wasn't as much knowledge of, like, how accurate, you know, other means were for preventing pregnancy, which is not very. I think that, like, Matthew would kind of see a stigma on that as it being a sense of dirtiness, like a claim of dirtiness of the partner. And so, like, if I really want to be honest with myself, I think that he would not use them probably and rely on how, like, what he thinks science works with. Which is probably, like, all sorts of busted in certain ways, but, like, if I really want to, like, look at that sort of brain process, is very much sort of that thing. So I think that though I, the millennial who has grown up, you know, since the AIDS era, immediately I'm like, of course he reaches for a condom because that is what people do. I don't think he does. So that is accurate.
So, I mean, like, without hitting Showtime levels of explicitness, I have a feeling there might have been some disagreement as to the mechanics of where everybody reached their climax.
Yes, I think that that's probably been one of their main arguments that they've had. Is it's not so much the argument of don't use prophylactics, it's the argument of no, you should still be with me.
Yeah.
To put it in as least rated as possible, a phrasing.
Yeah.
Clara's not in the mood to fight. She wanted a morning, like, parents' basement stealth sex quickie.
They're here for that.
Yeah. So it was fairly easy. No debates. Matthew got to handle the end however he wanted to. He was a little disappointed. And tried to be quiet about it to not wake Bethany up. And then once they were finished, she kind of rolled over, kissed him, and then got up and starts making coffee loudly, is the indication of like, oh, it's safe to come out. We're doing things over here now.
Yeah, and Matthew will go take a shower, as you know, his morning shower sort of situation.
Yeah.
Okay, so Bethany, you have as much time as you would like, to walk around the common rooms and hate everything. Because you have to kill at least one of you.
Oh, yes.
And now they might literally be in the way of you having the same theoretical satisfaction as your siblings do, a lover, contact, compassion, companionship.
Mm-hmm.
And they are too busy getting theirs to help you get yours. And it's...
Oh, also, I rolled my schizophrenia, and I rolled a 7, but she's -2 disadvantages because she's broken like that, so she's got a 5.
Okay. So,
there you go. Have fun.
Great. And so let's triple down on the hot mess and let's see what how Clara's addiction is riding today.
I'm fine. I got a 16.
Oh, fine. Okay.
Used last night. Don't need to again. We're fine.
It's the good. Do you think it was the quality of the drugs? What do you think? Do you think that these are better, worse, the same, different?
The quality was probably good because it was fresh and these are rich, popular, important people. But her brain is also convinced that this is clear that she has it under control. She can just use a little bit when she needs to on a rare occasion. And this is proof that she has total control over her addiction.
Cool. Cool,
Mhm.
Cool.
It's fine. Good morning.
Good morning. Yeah. So it is morning, and we've all assessed our states, found them to be mostly altered. And now what are we going to do? We considered divination, and we considered good old-fashioned legwork. So what are we going to try first?
I think that the first goal would be to use good old-fashioned legwork because Clara was going to go to the concierge, and kind of like do some figuring out there where we could like drive around because I think the Van Horsts have a similar viewpoint as I do when it comes to magic things, which is first try to use the phone book, then go to magic.
Yeah, I mean it's not wrong.
So yeah, I think she's gonna go down to the concierge and ask, and if they have like pamphlets or something, or the phone book, we could even use the divination on like, we have these 4 choices that they recommended.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's the era of the atlas.
Oh gosh.
So,
yeah.
Amusingly enough, it would be easier to get a giant physical representation of the land you're around in game than it would be to get one out of game.
Cool.
So, I mean, but the concierge kind of actually using the cover story, if I recall, of we like to visit kind of a mortuary place, a place, you know, that would be appropriate. Yeah, for remembering our father. And he actually lets you know that you're actually extremely close to one of the oldest and best regarded cemeteries, that is Woodlawn. And that is actually on Las Vegas Boulevard. So it's if I've got my street names right, that's right there. So that's really only maybe a 5, maybe 10-minute drive if there's a lot of traffic or something going on. But it's, yeah, the famous people are buried there. There are, I want to make sure that I get the name right, because this is a kind of thing that you want to get right. It houses the Veterans Circle, which is the place where they that has kind of been set aside to commemorate citizens of the area that have died in service to the country. It was started about 1910, 1915, says the concierge. He doesn't really exactly remember the date, but it's old, it's nice, it's beautiful, it's well kept, it's very quiet. And there are, adequate places to kind of have a moment to yourself. So if there's somewhere, if that's where he would say it's close, it's adequately nice.
And she'll ask him, just in case, because I know we've noticed there's occasionally a freak thunderstorm and they go fast. Is there anywhere indoors you recommend? Especially with the heat.
There's a couple churches here and there, but in terms of really there being a place that's, he gives you the name of several churches and some of them have churchyards, but in terms, it doesn't seem to match your unspoken criteria.
Sounds good. She tips him well, like
okay.
$20. Thank you so much. We very much appreciate, and heads back upstairs with the knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
So it looks like Woodlawn Cemetery is fairly close to us, and one of the biggest and oldest around. It's been in since 1910, 1915. The concierge immediately thought about it. Couldn't really think of any other place. I have a few other churches he gave me, but that was after some needling. The cemetery seems to be very likely. It's where the Veterans Circle is, among other things. Several famous people were buried there. And he said it's big enough that there's lots of quiet corners.
Good first step.
Coffee, whiskey, and go?
Let's get some food.
Oh, some food. You brave man.
He tries. He tries so hard. He will order some room service because Hope Blooms Eternal. Order some for Bethany as well. Hope Blooms Eternal. But he will order some. He will order for himself. He will order for Bethany because he knows that she will not order for herself. And he will let Clara pick whatever she wants.
Clara will get some toast and a fruit salad.
That's probably what he gets for Bethany too, because it's bland enough that he could try to coax her into doing it. He, of course, gets like the protein breakfast because it's, there are certain expectations that he will always follow. So he's probably getting like eggs and toast and things like that.
Okay. Apparently it's Dead Jimmy's day off, as your breakfast is brought to you by a living person, which lends itself to a significant number of questions of, does the dead kid get time off? Does he have a closet? Do they just kind of hang him up with his uniform somewhere, or where do dead busboys go when they're on break?
Well, as the servers bring in, the other one brings, she goes, "Oh, where's Jimmy? He's such a nice young man."
He's helping in the kitchen today.
Okay. Well, tell him we said hello. He's very, very sweet.
I will. And visibly visible concern places the food out and then leaves. And perhaps more distinctly than the deliberate like flattening of their features as they attempt to control whatever's going on with them emotionally, is the fact that they leave before doing the tip ritual.
That is strange.
Yeah. So the traditional, like, and so it's kind of like that. Is there anything else I can do for you? Like there is a give and take. There is a ritual to all of these master serf interactions, and he it's the 50s. Sorry, he interrupts. Like he skips. Like you can almost see like
I feel like I'm like starting to get my wallet out, and I'm like, what?
And he's gone. It's like,
It's like, what's happening?
So they clearly know something's wrong with Jimmy.
yeah, but apparently if you mention Jimmy, you get to save $5. So I mean, it's give and take.
The cheat code.
IDKFA.
Yeah, like Matthew just kind of frowns while he's putting away his wallet and just says, it's certainly something to look into.
Another morning.
When we're not in danger of dying.
Breakfast, graveyard.
He will push the toast to Bethany. Does she eat it? You're muted.
You're muted. Or
I got $5. Says she doesn't.
Oh no, everyone's sound. Oh, okay.
There you go. You're back.
here.
That. It just
Okay.
switched microphones. My microphone decided to go cranky. There you go.
It's okay.
That's right.
Back to here. Yes. So anyway, no, probably not.
Matthew will look at her, look at the toast, look at her.
Are you being disappointed at Bethany?
A little bit.
Most critically, are you using the disappointed Matthew face or the disappointed Papa Van Horst face?
Yeah, that's one of the.
Well, he's using. I'm going to say that at this point, he's using the disappointed Matthew face.
Okay.
Like, if this goes another day, we might have to get to Papa Van Port's face. No one wants that.
Talk about a nuke.
yeah.
But yeah, he's just kind of like.
Scream!
Bethany will do the thing where you play with your food, don't really necessarily eat it, which means you might have gotten, like, she might have eaten a quarter of a piece of toast. Maybe.
Better than nothing?
Yeah.
But there's a whole lot of, like, fiddling with and preparing and, like, not eating it.
Matthew's like, that's going to be a tomorrow problem. We're going to move on from this.
It's not amusing. Because disordered eating is a serious problem.
Yes.
But it is, from a story perspective, interesting to consider how much like unto a card trick Bethany's manipulation of these flat pieces of food are, where you're hiding their value and changing their arrangement with each other and using the same sort of visual tricks to misrepresent what's happening. It's like that's, it sounded cool in my head. All right. So we have an address. Do we get a David?
Well, we need someone to drive the car.
Yeah.
And I think we tell him,
Yeah.
or at least Clara says, we think the people who are trying to kill us might be centering or focusing off of this area. That's why we're checking it out.
Okay. It's just like you have yet to find the extent of this poor kid's cope. Like the box in which he put things is apparently volume, whatever. It's fake. It's real big, guys, and it's apparently well made, because like the shit that you're dumping in like at him and into him, he should be responding. Like, this is one of those moments where you're like, no, David, you're supposed to be yelling. You're supposed to be like, what the hell do you mean? And he's just like, okay. And you can almost watch how he puts the information through some kind of like a distillation mentally, where he strips everything out of the information and just turns it into a set of actions. But it's like he doesn't, it's almost like he's not letting anything into his head. He's black boxing it. Like he's using, like he's got an internal enigma engine and he's putting stuff into it, and all that's coming out are actions and like behavior patterns. It's not great. It's useful, but it's not good for the long term.
Yeah, I feel like Matthew, the businessman, thinks that this is great and is very impressed with David's work ethic and the fact that David is clearly proving himself to be worthy of trust, and you know the dedication that he is to the family. Elon, the person who has a psychology degree, is oh, this is bad. This is all sorts of bad. Matthew's like, I love this guy. Work ethic, wonderful. He understands what's up. Great guy. So Matthew's like, I feel comforted. I feel secure.
Elon really wants to get this guy on a soft couch.
Elon is just like, oh baby, this is gonna go real bad.
How much C4 can one traumatized vet hold? The answer is we don't know yet.
Yeah.
But I'm sure we'll find out.
Yeah. As I warned you, you keep beating on them and something's gonna happen.
Oh.
All right. So to the Woodlawn.
Yep.
Okay. So it's what's interesting is that the Woodlawn looks a lot like a cemetery that I visited in Memphis. It's very flat. It is separated in places by trees. Clearly you can see almost kind of like where purchases have been made or land has been segmented. So it's kind of like you've got the rectangles of different plots and the grid patterns, and you can see where different grids have been marked out. It's not a perfect left to right, one-to-one grid. You can absolutely see that there are bits and pieces of it. So it's a rectangle. And it's very, like, it is very nice. It's green. It's well irrigated. You see a flagpole in the middle, and it is flying a beautiful American flag. It is there is an office, or what looks like kind of an office building, or what could be. You see some above ground grave work. You see plenty of headstones or memorial pieces that function as headstones of various size and design. There are some older, very humble.
Mm-hmm.
There are some that are magnificent in their opulence. But you're here. It is difficult as Pittsburghers to look at this graveyard and assess it, at this cemetery and assess it, because the cemeteries of Pittsburgh lend themselves to shade. Often there are trees, often, as with almost everything else where you grew up, it is in a valley next to a hill, sun is diffused or obstructed. So there is another one of those odd I'm not at home moments where the sun kind of coming, it's coming in at an angle because it's morning time, but still the sun just splashing across a place of death is, we hate to use the word right now, but it feels a little heretical. It feels inappropriate. There are supposed to be oak trees and leaves, and it's supposed to be cool and damp. It is supposed to be a place that relinquishes the night far too grudgingly. And this is a place where the dead are open to the sky in some ways that feels inappropriate. But Bethany, this vibe's pretty good. I mean, for in as much as it's incorrect. I mean, there is a sense of age here. There is a sense of looking at it, you can kind of see where there's been the layers of expansion. So this is a place that has literally physically expanded the grip of death into this area. It is a fairly compelling damn argument. So, I mean, maybe we got it in one. But how do we... What are we going to do now? We've got what looks like kind of like an office building. It's this would not be where bodies are processed. This is not... I brought all my words with me and then I can't find them. A funeral home. This is not where the various processes that occur post-mortem are undergone. All of those things are done before a body arrives here. So
Bethany's first instinct to look around is to try and find the oldest section of the cemetery. Try to find some of the oldest graves. Then to see if there are in that area some mausoleums, some of the above ground tombs that are well kept-ish, with the idea that like they were from somebody wealthy or something, who a family maintains them, or people come in and like visit a family mausoleum still, or she's looking for something that can be a private place and is old.
Okay.
To see if there's something like that around.
There are not... What you almost wish that you would see would be like a New Orleans style raised with the beautiful stone, it's practically a sarcophagus and all of that, and you're not quite getting that. But what you are getting is you are seeing some small family mausoleums, and there are a couple of places where it seems like there have been groups of graves that collated seems like a very cold word to use under these circumstances, but it is a spot where other cemeteries or found graves have been exhumed and treated with respect and returned to the earth in this place. So there's a couple of those, and it is there's one that's a mausoleum. There's another that looks like it's not maybe a mass grave, but it looks like its bodies have been buried and they've been identified once. Kind of like here lie the unnamed remains of those found at such and such church, or at the site of such and such church, or found at a particular landmark or geographic location. So it, maybe if someone of a more pioneering age, if there was some death and they were buried and then they were found and they were placed in this graveyard. to be in a more appropriate place as opposed to arguably left out in the desert. It is difficult to imagine that howling desert being a good place to sleep eternally. There is also, there are some options. They don't seem to grab you though. They feel mundane. There is a rectangle kind of further in the back that seems to be bordered in by trees. The trees here are older, they are thicker, they are heavier. Unlike the trees that are kind of scattered, these give you more of a at-home feeling because they are close enough where the branches have started to intertwine, and they're significantly more of a line of sight breaking sort of vibe, which seems to be a little bit closer to. You could get a lot done if you could get into wherever those trees are kind of blocking off.
Yeah.
You could have some privacy as long as you didn't bring the full Marine Corps brass band with you.
Then yeah, she'll start to meander through that direction.
Okay. As you guys kind of, are you dropped off at the front? Do you park in the parking lot? Like, kind of how did you access this area? It's open to the public. It's not walled off and locked. So you're not trespassing, but what was your...
Likely we got dropped off at the front.
Okay.
I guess. Matthew is mostly following along with Bethany because, like, of the three of us, she has the most sort of mystical understanding / sensing. So he's kind of like, I'm going to let Bethany take the wheel, so to speak. But he's keeping an eye out, basically, as well, obviously.
Okay. Bethany, so you're kind of being given your head, so to speak. And so kind of you have an experience and Clara has an interaction kind of simultaneously. The thing that Bethany experiences is that as she's walking, I presume there's an amount of investigation, an amount of observation going on. The thing that you notice is that as you start looking around, you begin to notice an extremely uncomfortable pattern in that every grave marker whose words are of a size that you can see, that you can read from your position kind of on this small pathway, say, here lies Bethany. Here lies Bethany, here lies Bethany, here lies Beth, here lies Beth Ann, here lies Bathsheba, and it's like, and then here lies disorganized phonetics. It's almost like someone is taking the sound of your name and putting it through an auditory kaleidoscope. And you are getting many things that are familiar, but you are also getting a bunch of garbage information. And maybe it's pretty to look at, but it's not really useful. The thing that you hate the most is that every so often you can see where the grass has been changed by the size and shape of the tomb underneath it. And most of them are people-sized, but there are a few that are not. There is one that puts you in mind of a septic tank. Something many galloned and iron and welded and fitted and sealed. And others of urns and others of tubes that are too small, banded together and then sunk into the ground as if holding fluids that could not and should not be mixed in too great of a volume. And at least once you are unpleasantly certain that you hear the sound of flensed, fleshless fingers scraping through rotten velvet against the lead top of an extremely expensive coffin. It might put one to mind of the release and sealing of Lucy Westerna in Dracula, of a beautiful thing forced back into her grave and packed shut with lead and wax and holy wafer. Clara, it seems that you're kind of hanging back a little bit, and that's kind of how I read it.
Yeah.
It seems like Matthew is kind of escorting Bethany for the time being, and you hear a jovial but a clear, like, what the hell are you doing here? Tone of voice, hello, hi, can I help you all? And there's a guy, I don't know, probably mid-40s, wearing a decent dress shirt and a decent pair of slacks. His shoes match, his socks match, his belt matches. He's clearly not of means, but clearly of a financial place where he can do all of those important little things that not everyone can afford to do to make sure that everything matches and everything is pressed and all of the colors and the accessories line up. Either that, or he owns one suit and he did a really good job of buying it. So you'd really have to see him a couple of days in a row to see how many of these arrangements he can bring with him. Maybe a little heavy set, kind of the look of a person who has spent a majority of their life doing the kind of work that does not elevate their heart rate. He is not obese by any means. I mean, he just, we'd call it a dad bod now. He just kind of looks like a guy that's reaching into his middle age. He's got his handkerchief. He's keeping himself, appropriate in the heat. And he kind of comes out and he's got that look like, I'm not upset that you're here yet, but I do need to find out where exactly, like, what WTF, essentially. So,
is he looking off towards where Matthew and Bethany are, like off towards that specific area, or does he seem worried in general about the area?
No, this doesn't look like the face of someone who's like high energy concerned.
Yeah.
This is someone who works in a place that is generally public and looked up from an office or went to get a cup of coffee or whatever he was doing in the morning and found that there were people there. And while it's not illegal that people are there, it's very rare that people are there when he isn't expecting them to be there.
Yeah.
So it's kind of one of those, like, I need to run you through my flow chart.
Gotcha. Okay.
Are you visiting a grave? Are you looking to purchase a plot? Are you lost? Are you looking for the grave of someone famous?
Yeah.
That kind of, like, I need to figure out why you're here and then vet your intentions. Identify if they're legitimate or not and respond. Like, it's very customer service.
Yeah. That's fine. Clara puts on her most winning, sweet smile and kind of lets her body language relax a little to emphasize curves just a bit. And goes, "Oh, we're in from out of town, and these are my siblings. Our father passed away a few years ago now, but it's always been very hard on my sister. She's a little different, and we always go somewhere at least once a month. Sometimes we try to weekly to mourn him, and we're far from home. We're not from Vegas, and our concierge recommended this beautiful cemetery for us to come and at least be in a place of remembrance, even if he's not here. So my brother has her. I'm giving them the time that they need. And she'll find peace, and we'll say our prayers, and we'll be out of your hair, I promise.
Okay. That seems to be well within his context for acceptance. It's when you say that your sister is special, he hides that all too recognizable, like, that moment of worry where, like, is she going to be a problem or not, you know? And that kind of, that, like, you know, that's am I looking for, like, a dangerously crazy person, or someone that's going to yell, or something like that? And then he sees that Bethany is arguably a full-grown adult human, and that she is closely escorted by a man, and Misogyny is alive and well, and so he, you know, his emotional process is that, like, okay, and, like, this seems to be under control. This is meeting his expectations as much as it is a surprise. He asks, no, he introduces himself as Mr. Davis, Charles Davis. He's just a guy. He handles the cemetery here, and I'm writing that name down before I forget it.
I am too. It's not...
He runs the cemetery here, and he asks, you know, so we do the round of introductions. Do you use your real name?
Yep. Yeah.
Okay.
Clara offers her hand. I'm Clara Van Horst. We're out of Pittsburgh.
Can I ask you how you spell that?
VAN space HORST. Why?
Really? Do you have any other siblings?
Other than the two over there?
Yeah.
Not that I'm aware of. Do you have a Van Horst here? Our father was fairly famous and well known, but we always thought it was just out east.
No, I've got one of my employees. Yeah, Demetria. It's Demetria Van Horst. That's so weird. You don't look anything alike, though.
That's strange. Is she a blonde?
And something happens on his face when you ask that, that it seems like, it feels like he's trying to cover something up. Like there's a little bit of there's a process that goes on really quick, and he says no, but it's clear that wasn't a, like, question, memory check answer. It was question, understand, run an internal decision-making process, decide to answer as no.
No. It's possible that we have a cousin. As I said, we don't get out this way. Does she work here long?
Oh, 5 or 6 years. She's night turn. She's a very lovely young lady, very shy. She prefers to keep herself to herself, and you know, it's kind of a you know, one of those situations where she heard I was looking for a job, and we ended up speaking a little bit, and she liked the idea of being left alone and being given you know, space to take care of things in her own way, and so here she is. I mean, honestly, she's I don't know what I'd do without her. I mean, she's got a great hand. She's very cautious. She's very kind, and let's try to read a person.
Yeah. I was letting him ramble to get as much information as possible.
Yeah, there is a play in play.
Yeah. Oh, 13.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, and I might have enough. What is that? Intuition? Oh yeah,
Plus
15.
intuition. All right.
Cool.
Yeah, you get 2 of those questions.
Oh gosh, I have to open those questions.
I got them right here. I can give you, are you lying? How do you feel right now? What are you about to do? What do you wish I would do? Or how could I get you to context appropriate action?
Yeah. How could I get you to tell me more of the truth about Demetra?
It would be... You would have to overcome his desire to protect what is obviously actually a good employee.
Mm-hmm.
So it is clear that what he's doing is he is scrambling to present Demetria in as good of a light as possible. It does not seem to be overtly malicious, but there is that kind of like, I think that if he is trying ham-handedly to eliminate any sense of impropriety about Demetria.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense. I want to I can't go back to the question about is she a blonde because I want to use the are you lying. You know what? Are you lying?
He is actively obscuring the truth about her appearance.
Okay.
But the thing is, Clara, is that his obscuration could be that he is covering for her because he lied the way someone lies when they know that a girl dyes their hair or wears a wig or something like that. It's that kind of like it was a white lie.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe he knows that she dyes her hair, or maybe he knows, or maybe she's had a problem with her hair, something embarrassing. Yeah. And he doesn't want her embarrassed, and so he had to run through it. Like I said, there was a decision tree that question caused. It could be, under normal circumstances with normal people, it could be something as simple as she's got some problems with her hair. Yeah. I mean, a thinning hair that's, something that's wrong with it, an incorrect treatment that has to grow out now over the course of a couple of months. You could imagine all the different ways that a man might ham-handedly attempt to cover up. Mm-hmm. I'm also, after my next bit, going to try influence other. Okay. But she's still kind of doing the lean and the sweet, very interested smile. Like she's doing trying to look really excited that they might have a cousin out here. She's like, the Van Horsts don't really have a lot of family. It's a strange name. And it's very rare. Oh, we might have lost Ben. You didn't lose me. My camera died. That's fine. All right. It's very rare for us to hear somebody else with our name, and she's almost certainly a cousin, and especially after Papa died, it would be really, really nice, even if she's a really distant cousin, to find some family. If you could tell us anything more about her, we've got money, we can take her out to dinner. I get she's a good employee. We would never want to take her away from you, but I'd really like to get to know her or know about her. Okay. He roll influence other with a +1. Okay. I think that you played well into his brain. Yeah. It's an 11. So 12 + 1, and I think it's charisma. 15. I just scraped. All right. Yep. So yeah, they do what you ask. Absolutely. Yep. So what you get, in short, is you get a couple of things. Mm-hmm. One, you get this guy's card with his direct line now written on the back in pen. Mm-hmm. You get her schedule, which she gets here at 10 o'clock at night and works until 6 o'clock in the morning. And that, so here's the question for you. Because you got a 15, you get to pick this thing. This would have been the complication that you couldn't have controlled if you had gotten a 14 to 10. Do you want him to tell her that you asked about her?
She'll say no. She'll be like, I don't want to get her hopes up if it turns out that we're not related. I'm going to call the family lawyers back home and make certain that there's some part of this family tree here. But if it's just a strange, awful coincidence, it would be really sad to hear that maybe you have cousins out east and maybe there's money and maybe they'd be excited to meet you, and then it all disappears. And
yeah.
So as soon as I know anything more, we will introduce ourselves and we will make certain she has whatever she needs as a Van Horst, but I have to go check with my family before I even want to broach the subject with her.
Okay. That seems to read in his mind as he's probably not losing his employee.
Mm-hmm.
Because in his head, the chance of this being just simply more than
coincidence.
Well, he makes kind of a comment about something about like Ellis Island. In that kind of in it's that kind of like the thing that they did where they chopped a lot of names in half, or they mashed names that sounded similar together, and some of the not great parts of the old US immigration system. So he's kind of that, like, maybe somebody's granddad got the Van Horst treatment or something like that. And so he's, in his mind, clearly, he is expecting this to be a bust.
Yeah.
His expectation is that there's absolutely no way that this fantastically rich family from Pittsburgh is going to swoop in hysterically like Daddy Warbucks and sweep his night turn caretaker away from him.
Yeah.
Also, it is clearly obvious that Demetria has, what's a green thumb for graveyards? A black thumb? She's got a black thumb, let's say. Mm-hmm. And that she does a fantastic job, and some of that, like, I don't know what I'd do without him sort of language.
So Clara shakes his hand thoroughly and says, before we leave Las Vegas, we'll probably meet again. It was really, really nice to meet you, Mr. Davis. Thank you so much. I'm going to go check on my siblings.
Mm-hmm. He gives you a couple tips. This here is nice. This here is nice. If you see that line of trees over there, it's a little bit shady over there. You might find that a little bit more comfortable. I mean, I don't think Pittsburgh quite gets the same kind of sun as Las Vegas. Ha ha ha. Yeah. We've got plenty of cold water inside. We've got, I've got a couple, The customer service. It's hot out here. If you want to come in, we can, maybe even I might be able to swing some kind of a financial, a sale or something, some kind of a financial boon for myself out of this whole conversation. Yes. Now that we've, now that we've connected, found connection, made, created a rapport and all of that stuff. Now it's time to begin identifying sale opportunities.
Yeah. So, she pulls out his card again and wiggles it. I will be in touch. I promise.
Yep. And so he disengages, and he's obviously a lot less worried now. I mean, his walk is a little jaunty. So, you seem to have made Mr. Davis a non-problem.
Cool. Excellent.
And he does kind of give like a questioning look to Bethany as he gets back towards his building, but it's not like a It's like, all right, is she quiet touched? Okay, apparently she's quietly touched. Fine. And all of the awful ableist crap that came with that look. Okay. Mm-hmm. So did Yins 2 hear that? You're probably close enough to at least aim one ear at that conversation.
Yeah, and I suspect Clara, being the actress and the projector that she is, having realized all of this, was speaking fairly dramatically loudly as actresses have wont to do.
Yeah, speaking into the wire in the collar. So what you were trying to say.
Yes. So she comes up. Well, did you hear that? We have a possible relation who works the night shift here.
How useful.
And is not exactly a blonde.
He will look at Bethany as well and back to Clara. Sort of like a... Guess so we know who we're going to talk to next.
So how does it feel, one, to know that kind of your deductive intuition was as accurate as it is, and two, that there might actually be another Bethany like around, like not a theoretical, a practical.
Yeah, don't like it. Don't like other Bethanies existing. Don't like
Yeah.
that at all. Mm.
It's like a really creepy Highlander reboot.
Essentially. Bethany felt far better about being a maid thing when she was the only one of them, because it made her special. Now she's just one of many, and she hates it. Especially because the other ones have things she wants.
Yeah.
So we can keep looking around here, and I think you both should go over whatever you can find here. I could even give it a harder look, but she gets on shift at 10 p.m.
So I guess she was working last night too.
Probably.
Mm-hmm.
Well, 10 to 6 would cover essentially every atomic
everything.
testing that you could think of. Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, just the Wikipedia seems to indicate that they have all happened at impossible o'clock a.m.
Mm-hmm.
Unless I'm reading these very, very wrong. So
No.
Impossible.
So the question becomes also whether or not we try to find her on her turf or try to find her outside of here specifically, now that we know who she is.
She'll be stronger here unless we do something to disrupt it.
Do you have any idea how we would disrupt it?
Not until I've seen it, like specifically where she works. But she's not here now, so we could see if we could try and find a place now and leave before she gets here. If I can't do anything about it. But also, she'll know we're here and have been here, because I can't imagine that man won't possibly tell her, and if we disturb wherever she works, she'll know someone was here and messing around with her stuff, essentially.
I don't think he's necessarily going to tell her. I tried to smooth that over at least. But if we disturb her work, if we can find it, I think it's still important to find.
I think we should know.
Yeah.
But we should decide if we think we can lessen her power.
So we keep looking.
Also, what do those graves say to you over there? She points to the row of Here Lies Bethany's.
Oh, here lies Mr. and Mrs. Thornwhipple, beloved husband and wife.
Mm-hmm.
Born, died. Here lies,
Yeah.
Frederick Chuckerson. Just a series of names appropriate to the time. None of them seem particularly important. None of them leap out to you. Maybe a historian of the era a historian of the area might feel a thrill at some of these names here, but to an actress from Pittsburgh, they're just the corpse markers of people less important than you.
Yeah. She lists off several of the names. I don't recognize any of them.
Same.
Good to know. Okay.
Right.
By the trees.
Yep. Let's go over to the trees and keep looking.
Yeah, it's. I mean, I will definitely say that probably you guys investigated some of the other grave sites, and we can just kind of time lapse that.
Yeah.
As
Yeah.
the acquisition and assembly of individual clues is fun sometimes.
Yes.
So how about let's all select and roll some sort of observation thing. If you have an advantage that you'd like to use, or if you just like to observe a situation, or actually
investigate.
If you'd like to investigate, if you have something specific that you'd like to use, let's roll it and find out what kind of information we get.
Is anybody else doing just a plain old investigate?
No.
I can if you want to use enhanced awareness, since that's specifically location based. Or I can try to use magical intuition if you're not using that. But I can use observe a situation. Since, I mean, yours is specifically location based. I feel like it's the best one for this.
Okay, yeah, I'll use
you
enhanced
could
awareness.
definitely do that. And if you want, Matthew and I could split because we both have.
Yeah, I'll do just looking at things, since I don't really have a power that's best for it.
Okay.
Not under a 9. 13. Okay.
Well, you didn't tear the veil.
No, that's always my worry. The first die I saw was a 4, and I was like, oh no, but the other was a 9.
Okay.
So we're fine. 13. I just never remember what I add to this.
Is it soul?
It is
I
plus
think
soul.
it was. Okay, 16 then. So that's a nice enhanced awareness.
Hell yeah. All right. Let's see what the other two get.
Yep.
I rolled a 14, so I got a 13 since I've got the -1.
Oh,
and
okay.
My reason is 0.
Okay, so you get to ask one question.
Mm-hmm.
And Bethany, what did you get?
11 total. I rolled a 7.
On what?
On magical intuition.
Okay. It's always a good
So
one.
I'm in the middle, which is good.
2 options. All right. Let's start with mundane and work our way down to the weirdest. So Matthew, using just the senses that you were born with, so to speak.
Yeah. So, I mean, I feel like the last 2, which are what is my gut feel about what I'm investigating, is there anything weird about what I'm investigating? We already kind of know. So I'm going to go with how can I find out more about what I'm investigating?
Well, the thing that you find, the mundania that you find, is that there are several of the graves that are much cleaner than some of the other ones. Some of the gravestones, some of the head markers are much cleaner than the other ones. And it stands out pretty dramatically. And what you find, and it's one of those things where this is the kind of managerial eye that you honed under the tutelage of your father, is that ability to look at something, identify when something isn't quite right, and then like figure out the process problem. In that some of these graves have been cleaned irregularly compared to the other ones. So you'll see a grave over here and it has been cleaned, but it seems like the top of the grave has been the top of the headstone, excuse me, not the grave, the headstone. The top of the headstone has been cleared more than the front. So it's like the top has been washed very aggressively, like with soap. And the rest of it has been cleaned. Nothing here is dirty. Everything here has been tended. Weeds have been pulled, grass has been trimmed. Everything is, if aside from Demetria, if someone you knew was buried here, you would be content with the care that was shown. But it seems like a couple of the graves have had something rubbed off the top.
Interesting.
And most of the graves that had something rubbed off the top have ominous, maybe ominous, or at the very least attention-getting notations, because you get the name, date, beloved father, beloved son, that kind of stuff. And the couple that you see quickly say things like taken too soon, some Bible quote about being called to heaven, that but it's all that language where the person died either in strange circumstances or early or something like that. None of them seem to be very long lives, except for one that does not have a birth date. It just has a death date. It's like, Jacob Sands returned to his creator 1918. May he rest gently, or something like that. And it's just kind of like, as you read it, considering what you know and considering the things that you know, the information that's missing, there's definitely, like, you read it and then absolutely the organ in the theater plays a minor chord. So it's, someone has been paying special attention to a number of the graves that seem to contain weird or unnatural or early deaths. And it seems like there is something occurring on these graves that requires additional cleaning.
Interesting.
So, Bethany.
Right. We're at 11 on magical intuition, so I get to choose up to 2 questions. So I guess I would like to learn where the illusion is weakest.
The copse of trees.
Okay.
But most specifically the tree line. It's not like inside them. It's like the trees themselves are almost the weakest spot, or it's that line.
That if maybe you did it right, you could walk through the trees and end up somewhere else.
Maybe, yeah. Okay. Good guess. Yeah, but it definitely.
I might have been thinking of that. That's why I asked the question. So
yeah, it definitely, it's that word I can't say that starts with M and is mostly like a lime. Liminal.
Liminal.
Liminal. I always switch the N and the M. Yeah, there is a profound liminal quality there, and it is liminal with death.
Okay.
Logically, I mean.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
And then I have a second question, but I would like to currently, I mean, I have I can ask another question, but I'd like to hold it currently, I think, until we know more things.
Okay.
No idea of how to use it.
Yes. And so Clara used enhanced awareness, right?
Yes.
And rolled 185.
16, but close.
Which is like 100. I mean, mechanically speaking, they're the same. Yeah. There we go. Let's see now. You can discern clear details regarding the location. Okay. Surprising absolutely no one, this is a place intimately tied with death. What is interesting about it is that the way that other cemeteries or other places of death, that the corpses, the actual, like the condensation of death that is a body, that is a gravesite, has been taken up and it has been placed here. This is a place that has been deliberately turned not only into a place of death, but a place that accumulates death. It's not a vortex, it's not a suction, it's not an abyss black hole sucking thing. It is simply a place that when death is set loose, that when a thing of death, when a corpse is pried from its earthly moorings, it is inclined to gravitate here. And so you could easily see that the way this place has been primed to gather the energies of death, to the point where you're almost entirely certain that there was some degree of deliberation in this, that someone has put this plan in motion, or at the very least someone has
hastened it.
Yeah, but it's almost what it reminds you of is when you were a child, there was one of the St. John, bless his heart, the old major domo, the father figure that showed more kindness than the father figure, bundled all of you kids up, and for some reason thought it would be an absolute delight to take a bunch of like super elite upper crust kids to a maple syrup boil. So your opinions as to how well this worked can be variable, as I'm sure they are, but what is sticking out in your mind right now, Clara, was the mental image of the guy hammering in the little thing into the side of the tree.
Yeah, the tap.
Hammering the tap in with a wooden mallet so as not to deform anything, and the sap running out. The idea of pounding a hole into something and draining it of value is what comes to mind here.
Okay, interesting.
And so you, supporting what your sister has intuited, the trees are a liminal spot, but they're also a spot where a tree naturally gathers things from its environment. By its very design, it is a thing that draws from the ground, and it draws from the air, and it draws from the sun. There is a reason so many of the oldest religions involve the greatest and largest of the trees and plants in the region in which they developed. And you get a strong sense that not only are these lines of trees cool and comfortable and full of humid, still shade, but that if you looked at the right way, at the right place, at the right time, that you actually think that you could reach out and feel somehow death running through your hands, some physical aspect of it. As this place, as this ground is filled with the collections of death, and then the trees. Clara, these trees are trees with big, long-reaching, grasping roots, the kind that crack the seals and coffins and wind their way into corpses.
Yep.
These are trees that evolved to hunt water and now in these circumstances have been twisted to hunt death and formaldehyde.
Can I lean into that and figure out where the tap is?
It's folded. You are fairly certain that if you go into those trees in the right conditions,
it's there.
It's there, but it's an elsewhere there.
Cool. So she looks around and goes, "Oh, it is." She is tapping this place for the death energy and the death that's around here. But it's those trees somewhere in there, not somewhere I can go right now. It's in there. That's where she gets her power. That's where the tap is. I don't know if that makes sense.
It does. It does. We can't get there now, and we don't know the right way, but you can walk through those trees and walk into death.
Yep.
You do it right.
We can observe her. She might realize we're here. If we don't want to meet her on her ground, we can wait until she leaves work tomorrow morning. It loses us an entire night. And we can follow her home. Or we can catch her going in or try to meet her here.
Bethany, I remind you that in your generally confident opinion, your opponent, who is apparently a Bethany named Demetria, doesn't have the oomph to do big magic trademark on her own. And so the threat level of Demetria when they are not prepared to access the power of an atomic bomb, like, she's not going to throw hordes of undead at you. Like, this isn't going to be like, you know, it's the playing field is significantly more even when there isn't a bomb going off.
Yeah. Can I possibly use my second magical intuition for some fuckery?
For some fuckery?
Well, Bethany wants to not try. She doesn't want to try to do it. But how easy does Bethany think it is for her own self, as a not really trained magician and definitely an untrained death magician, to harness the power of death if Demetria's already opened it? Can Bethany tap into that magic to use it as power and force?
It sounds good on paper. But from you've read this much.
Yeah, no, 100%.
You have read a fragment of a collection of excerpts. You have essentially read the middle 3 pages and the reference citations. You have read like the middle section and the citations page of a master's thesis. And are trying to intuit the rest of the field from it. You would be able to it would be easier, but once again, you have never seen anything come without commitment. And so the kind of commitment or the kind of actions that it would take to really throw a bit and bridle on the idea of death or a manifestation of death.
What if I just want to feed her to death instead, and that'll get rid of her?
Oh, killing people is easy.
Well, no, but
you can Palpatine anybody off the bridge.
I just want to shove her through the trees and stick her there on that side where she can't get out.
She might be there right now.
I want to figure out how I can keep her there.
That sounds probably doable, because that is more of a take a hammer to the mad scientist's lab kind of action, as opposed to use it to make your own gadget.
Yeah, no, way less gadget, way more just smash or throw her off the bridge into the chasm of death forever. That would be great. Cool.
Okay.
So, okay, then yes, we can. It will be dangerous to meet her in her place of power, but there is only one of her. There are 3 of us, and we're better at this than she is.
And absolutely you are. And so we have a location, we have a name, we have the terrible sneaking suspicion that this person is going to look a hell of a lot like Bethany. And that we may learn things that we're not going to want to know. And I'm going to be an asshole, and I'm going to say we're going to learn them in 2 weeks. Because somehow, once again, we have masterfully, completely not timed our gameplay to butt right up to the end of our stream. Guys, we thank you very much. We thank you for watching and listening. If you have fun with this, please share. If you're telling your friends about it, we'd love to hear about it. And so thank you very much, and good night.
Good night.